Hello everybody, this is Philip here at the hub on a Friday, November the 2nd. We are here, the hub's closed today. We're setting up for a funeral tomorrow actually, so the hub's closed today as we get ready for that. I'm going to give you guys a real brief update here today, just to keep it rolling, keep the pattern going. So thank you guys for coming on. I'm going to keep it kind of quick today. Flying solo today here at the hub, but everyone's getting ready for the funeral tomorrow, so hub is closed today. Thank you guys for tuning in. So just gonna give you guys a quick update here, just as we continue experiencing quiet in the volcano. There's really not a whole lot happening out there, but if I look at the tilt signals once again and check out the earthquakes once again, but there's really not a whole lot to talk about apart from that. Just gonna check in with you guys, let you guys know that we are still here, and everything's kind of still going on. So let me kind of get to it. Let me turn the camera around here and show you guys. So we're gonna have some glare today, but that's just gonna deal with it today. So here we have our tilt plot from Hawaii Tracker. We can see in the last couple of days that Pu'o has been kind of flat, maybe barely rising a little bit, but kind of mostly flat. These are the daytime kind of bumps in there. At the summit, we're still kind of very briefly, or very gently rising. Let's look at the last week to kind of give you a better idea. We actually had a big that deflation inflation event we saw earlier in the week. We thought was actually, we only saw the beginning of it. Actually continued and got a lot bigger before it kind of came back up. This is at the summit. It actually turned out to be something like 7 microradians in size, and very interesting. Did not actually register at all on the east rift line, right? So it's hard to say exactly what this was caused from. Let's look at the month-long plot here. So you can see we had this more recent V-shaped deflation. We had a U-shaped deflation last week, right? So without really knowing, what's going on, there's kind of a couple ideas that the deflation inflations are caused by kind of gas, overturning gas movement, from the magma underground, kind of collecting and maybe coming up as a bigger slug, something like that. If that's the case, then it could be that this could have come from slightly shallower, maybe the conduit above the magma chamber underneath the south caldera. These connect to the one that was collapsed, so that there's that still conduit there. So it could be we had a smaller collapse. We might have had not collapse, I'm sorry, overturning event, deflation, inflation, something like that. So it could be that we actually had like a gas release kind of coming from a little shallower than from a little deeper. Maybe that's why it caused a bigger signal, right? Very different shape, right? You guys see this is a very V-shaped as opposed to a very U-shaped deflation inflation event. In both cases it did come back up, so interesting to think about why that change might actually be. But what we thought might have been a signal in Pu'o before, pretty clearly now, Pu'o before signal. Let's see, this is the, no, that was actually both of them together. So here, let me go back to the USGS page.
Hi.
Hello.
How are you, Phil?
Fine. I'm live right now, just so you know.
I know.
All right. So it's hard to say exactly where these signals were sourced from, but you can see that this one might have been a little bit shallower, this one might have been a little bit deeper. The key thing is there's no connection to the rift zone. You can't see the month-long plot, but the most recent event here, big drop at the summit, not at the rift zone, so that kind of implies that whatever shallow connection used to exist between the rift and the summit, has been disrupted, right? Because it used to be when this size deflation we saw in the past would definitely show up at Pu'o signal, and we're not seeing that anymore. So that kind of, not to say there's no connection there. The connection is probably deeper down than it was before, right? So I've kind of proposed there might be several different connections at different elevations, different levels, depths within the volcano, and maybe just the shallowest one is the one that's been disrupted here. So that's quite interesting, but in and of itself doesn't tell us anything is going to happen coming up. You can see that the signals are kind of, we see it at summer camp, we see it at the escape road on the east component here. See, like there's a drop right there, but we don't really, maybe we see it here at Muiwai at Pele, which is interesting, kind of closer to on the south flank. We see kind of a drop right in here with an interesting little signal that looks like a little collapse, like movement of the south flank right through there. So maybe that was going on right there. But beyond that station, we don't see it at Pu'o. Maybe it's slight flattening, heavy, and slight flattening here at Jonica as well. But basically, we don't see the signal here on the rift zone. We're basically, it's kind of disconnected from the summit, which is really interesting. So that's kind of the one side of it. On the earthquake side, it's been relatively quiet. This is data for the whole last 7 days. We've still had the summit quakes as the adjustment of the ground up there continues. Quieted down on the south rift quakes, although there were some earlier in the week over here. We still have a clustering of deep Pahala quakes kind of earlier in the week as well. Overall, it's been kind of quiet. There's not much happening here in the lower east rift at all. So fairly quiet overall as far as the earthquakes go. Pretty interesting tilt signal is deflation inflation, but still no signal of anything kind of impending to erupt anytime. That certainly could change when we see a big signal coming, but as of right now, we don't see any indication of that. And we're seeing, interesting, maybe a disconnect from the summit to the rift at a shallow level there. So that's what we got going on. There's not a whole lot of other news to report today. The hub will be reopened on Monday after the weekend's events. And we'll be back to talk about what's going on at that point with the rest of the guys. So, you guys got any questions? I can kind of field them now. Otherwise, I'll just wrap it up here. You guys got any questions?
Good job, Phil.
Thank you.
Stay classy, Pruna.
Stay classy. All right, so we're gonna keep it super short today. And what do you guys say?
Volcano House is open.
Volcano House is open. There's a good
Volcano House
idea.
is open. Yes.
So the Volcano House is open. It was at first kind of just a coffee shop and a lounge, and now it's the restaurant as well.
Restaurant's open full time. We need people at night. Come see us at night.
Awesome. There you go. All right, guys. All right, guys. So yeah, stay classy.